Welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show. So much going on. Again, I thought Ivy and I had this crazy notion we did, and so did everybody else here. Sister Sarah, Anthony, we all had this crazy idea that after the election, it'll be time to take a deep breath and I'll slow down. Wrong. Nothing slows down around here. We will continue this pace until there's nobody left in the race, apparently. Joining me now is Woodrow Johnston, GOP Political Strategist, CEO of Revere Solutions. Woodrow, nice to have you here on the program.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Man, it does not slow down. The news cycle, I think, is down to about 3 minutes. There's a new breaking news story every 3 minutes on social media, whether it's on X or TikTok or wherever people go get their news these days, and it's remarkable. Let's talk about the drones in New Jersey. I've got one member of Congress that says, hey, they're coming from an Iranian ship offshore. Jeff Van Drew said that, and there's a mothership out there. I've got the incoming National Security Advisor saying, no, these are being paid for by China. That's Mike Waltz, says they're being paid for by China. They're Chinese drones. I've got the government saying there's nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. They're just airplanes and civilian drones that you can buy at 7-Eleven and Circle K. Come on. What's really going on here? Help me out, would you please?
Well, the reality is, Steve, is that the United States government knows exactly what they are, and they're not telling the American people. They're not being honest with the American people. I'm not the only one saying this. Donald Trump is saying this too. The fact of the matter is that our government doesn't trust us. They believe that we're peasants and that we are not worthy to know what that information is.
Is there something nefarious going on here? I mean, to me, the most likely scenario is this, Woodrow, and you tell me. I believe that it is something that we are doing ourselves, either the government or one of its agencies or one of its vendors, one of its suppliers testing out new equipment. That's one possibility. Another possibility is we are actually looking for something. There's been a lot of, stories circulating on the internet that, we're looking for some missing radioactive material. That's possible. Sniffer drones is what they're called. They can identify a signature of gas if it's leaking or radioactive material if it's out there. So I think it's most likely we are doing it ourselves, or maybe it's an agency that's playing with new toys. I mean, these drones, maybe they're a new toy they're trying to figure out how to play with the most. But I do believe it's originating right here from our government. What do you say?
Well, what I'd say is, why not just tell us what it is? Why not just be honest with the American people? I think the American people are smarter than I think our government gives them credit for. And the fact that they just can't tell us what it is, I think really just goes to show that we really shouldn't trust our government, because they certainly do not trust us.
Well, that's true. Let's see. Let's talk about the government for a moment. How about the January 6th Select Committee? I've been told that Liz Cheney destroyed 117 January 6 files. The people that looked into this think that the FBI should investigate her now. And she says, I didn't do anything wrong. I should not have any issues here. Liz Cheney has found herself into some hot water here, hasn't she?
Well, I mean, her whole political narrative has been that she is a special that she's a special Republican that can still be invited to all the liberal cocktail parties because she stands against the rest of her party, who are so awful because of Jan 6. Well, according to the FBI's own IG report, a lot of those people were incited by their own confidential human sources. So it doesn't surprise me that Liz Cheney would destroy a bunch of evidence that would defeat the narrative on what happened on Jan 6.
I agree with that. All right. So, I mean, and these are just stories that have been going on this week. How about this one? George Stephanopoulos and ABC News. $16 million in cash and prizes for the former president, soon to be new president, Donald Trump. $15 million in damages and $1 million for the attorneys, because Stephanopoulos kept referring to him as a rapist, no matter how many times Nancy Mace, the congresswoman from South Carolina, tried to correct him and say, George, you're out of line here. He didn't care. He plowed through and said, by the way, he'll never lose to Trump in a civil trial. He did lose. ABC lost. They gave Trump an apology. I think they owe us all an apology, the news media in general. But next up, CBS being sued for $10 billion by Trump, and Ann Seltzer for putting out that phony poll in Iowa showing Kamala Harris up by 3 points just a couple of days out from the general election in an effort to, put her thumb on the scale. He says he's going to sue there as well. I think he should. When pollsters lie to people to try to impact the outcome of a race, it's committing fraud of a sort, isn't it?
100%. So I'm a pollster too, Steve, and I actually did a poll in Nevada that showed exactly where it ended up being. I think I got the Libertarian Party candidate off by half a point. So you know, if I was the expert witness, and they're probably going to call an expert witness if it ever goes to trial, in that case, I could tell you exactly what Ann Seltzer did wrong and why I actually believe Ann Seltzer definitely put her thumb on the scale, and she definitely was doing. She must have been paid by somebody because what she did was malpractice, straight up malpractice, and I'll tell you exactly how she did it.
Wait, Woodrow. Is it malpractice or fraud? Because fraud is lying. Malpractice is doing something wrong or not using proper standards or whatever. I think it was intentional. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. You may be right, Steve. I would say, if her client was the Iowa paper, then maybe it was malpractice because it's affecting their reputation as well. But yeah, definitely fraud, because I'll tell you exactly what she did wrong, and it's such a silly thing that it's almost like a third grade level polling error that she made. When I did my poll in Nevada that showed the exact results, I to pick my sample of voters, I picked likely voters based off of data modeling on who would most likely be able to vote, and that turned out to be correct. That's not what Ann did. What she did was she used census data to pick her sample. Anyone can take the census. People who take, not just because you take the census doesn't mean you're going to vote, right? Even illegal aliens take the census. Donald Trump tried to change that by adding the question of, are you an illegal alien or not? And that was thrown out. So she was measuring people who never vote and as part of her sample. So it made zero sense. And and this is how far I went, I actually took her exact same sample methodology, applied it to my poll in Nevada, and guess what? Trump ended up losing by 5 points in my
using her flawed approach. I get you. Look, if you look at the pollsters in general, the biggest loser on Election Day was Barack Obama. But a close second, I think, were the polling companies, except for three, and I'll give you an honorable mention. Atlas Intel out of Brazil nailed it. Rasmussen got it right, and Trafalgar did quite well for themselves. They're about at 76, 77% accuracy. After that, they were all wrong. I mean, after that, those pollsters had, Harris winning 5 of 7 swing states, 6 of 7 swing states, complete nonsense all over America. So except for those three, and an honorable mention to you, Woodrow, these polling companies, either they need to start doing real polling, change their methods, or just stop lying. I don't know, pick your point, but the fact of the matter is they're not to be trusted except for those three that I just said. I mean, that's just the way it is, isn't it?
Well, one of Roger Stone's rules is trust your pollster, and I think I would expand on that rule is that any poll that you see out in public is out there because it's trying to meet some sort of PR objective. The only poll you should really ever trust is the one you're paying for yourself.
Yeah, fair enough. If you're paying for it, you better get the results, and they better be accurate. Woodrow Johnston, Republican strategist, CEO of Revere Solutions, thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Greatly appreciate it. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Follow us on Twitter or X if you prefer, and on TikTok and Rumble, and Substack, all those places. Like us everywhere and follow us everywhere. We'll be right back on the Steve Gruber Show.